you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Do you text your friends to distract them from your current moves? Can you finish off a pizza in between your second and third turn? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Dewey? Do you have what it takes to stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Do you tell your friends to call you Dungeon Master? Can you muster the strength to play one more game after 2 a.m.? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and pick your best friend's favorite character anyway? Have you ever randomly shouted nonsense because you thought it would be funny, and it wasn't? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. With me tonight is Rob.
Hello, hello.
What's going on?
Not much, man. I am excited. I've got my new microphone headset dealio, and I'm just trying to be cool like everybody else. I still need to fix a couple things with this thing, but I'm pumped.
Nice. Matt's not with us tonight. He is out of town, hanging out with some of his gaming buddies, so hopefully he can come back with some cool gaming stories.
Didn't they go on a cruise?
I don't know if that's exactly what they're doing. I know he was going to like Denver, so I don't think I don't think Denver is near any oceans. I think he was doing a cruise at some other point.
Okay. I knew he was going on a cruise eventually. I didn't know if it was now or later.
I think it's later. Nice.
Yeah, there's no cruises in Denver.
So our topic tonight is going to be game groups. But first, we're going to talk about what we've been playing. Do you want me to start, or you want to go, Rob?
Oh, you go.
Nice. So on Friday, we played the Magic the Gathering board game, Arena of the Planeswalkers, which is kind of like a retheming / redoing of HeroScape. If you don't know what HeroScape is, in this game, you take the role of a planeswalker from the Magic the Gathering universe, which planeswalkers are like these powerful beings that can cast spells and summon creatures and go from different planes of reality. But you're basically taking the role of one of them, and there's one for each of the colors in Magic, so black, red, blue, white, and green. And you play those characters and try to complete different objectives depending on the mission. The mission that we played was sort of like an area control, so there's a certain number of turns in the game, and once that timer ran out, the person that was standing, who had the most units standing close to the different runes that were in the middle of the board, won the game. So it's kind of like fight everybody off and try to have the most people left standing sort of thing. But yeah, basically you summon different units. Each planeswalker has 2 different units of 3 creatures each, and normally everybody had like a little bit of a weaker one and then like a stronger one, and then everybody had different spell decks of crazy spells that you would cast that felt very much like the Magic the Gathering. Black had tons of kill spells and resurrect spells, and red, which Rob was playing, had tons of fire, and blue had counter spells, and white had life gain.
Blue had a lot of counter spells.
Yeah, they did. And
they used all of them on black.
Which was probably very good for you guys.
Yes.
Because I played black, and I felt like I needed to be nerfed because I was just smashing stuff. And it was pretty good for blue to be like taking me down a peg, because if he wasn't, I was just going to be steamrolling some people.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. But you had a bunch of like direct damage stuff too, right? So you could do like 3 damage to this guy, or like
I did, yeah.
Was there a bunch of extra attack stuff also?
I only had a couple of enchantments that I thought were pretty good. Most of my cards were, if you have a guy who's damaged, then do 1 damage to every figure that surrounds that figure, or deal 3 damage to anybody adjacent to my planeswalker. Nothing crazy OP, but I thought it was still all pretty good stuff, pretty powerful stuff. I wasn't disappointed. in my faction.
Nice. But yeah, I thought the game was pretty good overall. Like, the game comes with 30 regular, like, unpainted miniatures of plastic, which are your squads for the guys.
Yeah.
And then 5 painted planeswalker characters, and a bunch of cards, 12 times 5, however many that is, and then 3 for each
60.
color. Yeah, 3 for
60.
each. Yeah, 3 for each color. For like the big, like, long cards for like the squads, and then like a cardboard board with like some little terrain pieces and stuff like that. I thought the whole game overall was like $30 MSRP. I thought the game was pretty good for paying only $30, especially the
I would
amount of stuff
agree.
you
I
get in the
think for
box.
$30, yeah, I think the components alone, even though they're not the greatest quality, and I don't know if I would ever paint my figures when I purchase it, because I'm going to buy it. I thought it was a good buy. I thought it was definitely worth $30. I think the most it would ever be worth is maybe $45, and that would be pushing it. I think they did a good job at marking it at that point, just because your board is cardboard, and it's not like it didn't seem to be very strong or durable cardboard. It was good cardboard.
Yeah.
And then the plastic that they used for the pieces, it's it's not like some of the Fantasy Fight plastic figurines that you can paint over, and so
I feel
still
like
though, very, very good game. I want it.
The detail was a little bit less, and then you'd get in like some of the, like, they weren't like Cool Mini or Not quality or Fantasy Flight quality.
No, not
but they
at
were
all.
like
Yeah.
like the quality you'd find in HeroScape or maybe like Hero Clicks, stuff like that. But they were unpainted. Yeah. So, but yeah, I've gotten used to like painting and staring at these Bad Lore figures, and then I was looking at those, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna paint those guys.
Yeah.
So, good times though. But I really enjoyed it.
I had a blast, even though I got killed.
Yeah, I got into a scrap with Phil. I was playing Liliana of the Veil, which was black with all the zombies, and I had zombies crawling all over the board. And I felt like in the early game, I got into like a good position, and I was sitting on like 2 of the runes, and Phil immediately came up and just like unsummoned like half my dudes, and I was just like,
yeah, he did this one spell, and it was like, all of those guys are now gone. They're not dead, but they're gone.
I mean, I was just like, well, I felt like I was doing awesome because I was standing on the room that gave. So in this game, you roll dice for attack, and you try to. There's like dice that have swords and shields on them. I think it's got swords on 3 sides, and then shields on 2 sides, and then 1 blank side. It's like a 6-sided die. But basically, the amount of attack you have, that's how many dice you roll. So there was a glyph that if you stand on it, you get 1 extra die roll for every single one of your units, so it makes your entire army stronger. And then there was another one that had for defense, so everybody get an extra defense roll. So normally when you attack someone, you roll those dice, and however many swords you have, they now have to roll their defense and get that many shields, or they take damage however many access of swords there are. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm standing on the things, I'm doing good. And then Jace the Mind Sculptor's like, no, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then what happened on your side of the board, Rob?
Man, I don't remember the character names. All I know is I went in to attack some elf tree people, and I killed a tree, and then all of a sudden Trevor showed up. And so Trevor shows up, and we were like turn 2 or turn 3 into the game, early enough to let him start playing. So Trevor shows up, and then all of a sudden he's the white guys, and he puts these rhinos literally right at my back. And so now I'm sandwiched. I just ticked off these tree elf people, and now I have these rhinos, humping up me. And so I'm just like, I'm sandwiched. I'm stuck. I got destroyed, and my faction is actually really good because the Phoenix, there's these like red Phoenix that come with my faction, and they have this special ability that if you play a sorcery card and one of your red Phoenix are dead, you get to automatically bring them on the board as long as another red Phoenix is on the board. And so that's kind of powerful. It didn't bother me losing anybody because I figured I could get them back. Well, once they found out that was my faction's power, Trevor made it his mission to take out all of my red Phoenix in 1 turn, which he did, and I didn't appreciate it. But yeah, he killed all of my Phoenix, and then he was like, hey man, let's have peace now. I just wanted to get rid of your Phoenix. And I'm like, no, it's half my army. Well, I should have listened to him, because then when I turn around to start fighting him, then Hector, the green Earth Elf people, they started killing. I just got sandwiched. But I still had a blast. Still had a lot of fun.
And you definitely took some units with you.
Oh man, I killed all of Trevor's army but one guy, and I killed half of Hector's army. So I think I killed more people than anybody else, or maybe tied with you. I killed a lot. Like I killed like
I say
8 or 9.
I killed Phil off.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even have to worry about
Anybody else
because no one else really came after me. I just sat there on objective points, and I'm like,
well, yeah, because then Trevor and Hector were fighting each other after that.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. It was really crazy.
I think it'll be a lot different. I think it'll be a lot different when we play it again, and now that people kind of know what sort of the powers are and how to mitigate a little bit, and then how to use cards better. Because I feel like there's a lot of modifiers in this game. It's like, oh, if these guys are close to those guys, they get plus to this stat, and you have to pay attention to all that sort of stuff. And our first playthrough, I think we missed a lot of those little things. Because I was like, oh, my zombies should have had +1 defense the entire game, because they were close to Liliana. So, I don't know. But yeah, it's still a lot.
And also, if you come in late, you're not allowed to play. I think that should be a house rule. If you're not there at the beginning.
Well, everybody else had gone one turn, and you were on your second turn. You were in the middle of your second turn when he walked in. So, just if Trevor comes in, don't let him sit beside Rob.
That's right. I mean, I love Trevor. He's a great guy. We have a lot of fun. I play a lot of games with him.
Yeah, Trevor actually listens to the podcast.
But he's also a lot like me, where we like to blow each other up. And man, I don't want to say he wrecked me, because we actually fought it out pretty good. But once Hector started attacking me, I was done for.
Yeah, you guys all helped me out a lot. Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome. Well, we thought you bought the game. We might as well let you win the first game. So that's all it was. It won't happen again. You won't win again.
What was I going to say? Yeah, Trevor's like, yeah, listen to the podcast. I can't wait to hear what Rob says about me on the podcast.
Trevor, you're a great guy. I appreciate it. The only thing is,
don't let it happen
I was proud of Trevor beating me because, and he'll get what I'm about to say, he didn't have Tim helping him get this W. And that's a little inside joke. I won't explain that, but he won without Tim, and so I'm very happy.
Nice. But yeah, someone in chat says that it sounds like the Summoner Wars combat system.
Yes and no.
It's the Heroescape combat system.
It really is more the Heroescape combat system.
Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the whole rolling attack dice to hit and then them rolling defense. I mean, that's in a lot of games. It's in Descent, it's in Heroescape, it's in X-Wing, it's in Mice and Mystics. I feel like a lot of times it's just I just really hate when I roll 5 hits.
Amazing.
I roll amazing, and I'm like, look at all the hits I got. And then they roll twice as many defense or more defense, and you're just you just got really lucky on that. That makes me
sad. You can roll 3 attack dice, but then they can roll 8 defense dice.
Yeah.
I don't like that when games make defense OP. And this game was kind of like that. I mean, all of my characters rolled more defense dice than they did attack dice. But still, for $30, it was fun. We had a blast. We want to play again.
I was gonna say, I think it's one of those games because some people have played the game thinking Magic and all that stuff and thinking uber competitive, and I knew what Heroescape was going into it, so I knew I played Heroescape a little bit, but not crazy amounts. I just thought it was going to be just a casual time. I wasn't going to really care about who win or lost. I knew that dice were going to determine a lot of it, and playing the spells were going to be cool and stuff like that. But I was just I might, because I attacked Phil a whole bunch of times and just missed and missed and missed and missed, and that's just what happened.
From the get-go, from turn 1, you guys were at each other's throats.
Yeah, and luckily he got a bunch of misses on me too, but we were just going back and forth missing, and I feel like the same thing happened a lot when I played X-Wing. We just went back and forth missing a whole lot, and then somebody
Phil actually killed you a lot. And not that he killed you a lot like you were doing bad, but your power with the zombies is if all of your zombies are dead, you roll a dice, and if you roll X or higher, they all come back.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil and you were really going at it. Like, he was getting some hits. It's just your group being able to come back to life. That's pretty strong.
And I feel like I tried to use the resources that I had to the best of my ability. Even though Phil was countering me every step of the way, he was like discarding cards off the top of my deck.
Well, and then using your own cards against you.
Yeah. I played a card on him, he countered it, and then pulled it out of my discard pile and played it against me. And I'm like, dude, Jace is a jerk. That's all I gotta say.
Yes.
I took a picture of the game before we even played, and I had like all these hashtags in there, and I had like hashtag Jace is a jerk, and like a couple people were like, yes, Jace is a jerk. Because you know how blue is, counter.
Yeah.
So, good times. Awesome. So that was Magic the Gathering, the board game Arena of the Planeswalkers. You guys should check it out.
Yes. Well, after that we played Masquerade, and Masquerade is like a deduction, memory, sort of bluffing game. You have to kind of remember which character you have. There's a king, there's a queen, there's a bishop, there's a thief, there's a witch, and then there's one more person. But each person, well, actually, there's a lot of different characters.
Yeah, there's a ton that you can play.
Yeah. But we played with our group, and each character has different abilities. And the whole point of the game is you start off with $6, I think, and you're trying to get to $13. The first one to $13, unless you're the thief. The thief says you win at 10.
The cheat.
First one the cheat.
Yes.
The first one to $13 wins, and so you have to kind of remember who you are, and you have to call out who you are to be able to use their ability. If somebody else calls out that they're the same person, and they are, and you're not who you say you are, then you have to pay into the bank, or you have to pay into that person, or you have to do their special power. It was a lot of fun. It gets a little crazy because everyone at the beginning is taking each other's cards, and so you start off as something, but you may not necessarily be that something. And the game tells you to put the cards under the table while you're shuffling them. And so I remember for my very first turn, like Hector was the king. I remember seeing him being the king. So I grabbed his card and I shuffled it under the table, but I gave him back his king card. And I did that so he and everybody else wouldn't think that he's a king anymore. And it actually worked to my advantage. I got some money real quick in the game, and I did that a couple times knowing what other people were. And then once I called out that I was such and such, they were like, no, I'm such and such. I'm the witch because I was the king and you switched with me. And so, now I must be the witch. And I'm like, no, actually I am. And it helped me steal people's money and take extra money. Needless to say, I ended up winning the game completely by luck.
Phil like did that last thing, and like as soon as he did it, I was like, do you know what you're doing, man? Do you know what you're doing? He's like, I got this. And I'm like, I don't think you got this, man. And then you called out and you won. I'm like, Rob, too smart.
That was the bishop. And the bishop, if you're the bishop, you get $2, and I was $2 short. And Phil thought he took the bishop.
No, he thought he was gonna switch it, and then you were gonna call the one that he now had, and you did the game is all about like probability. Like, did they actually switch with me? Would it be smart for them to actually switch with me? Even if they did switch with me, should I call out the role that they had before? Should I call out the role that I currently have? Are they trying to trick me with this and that? It's like a giant shell game because like you have all these different roles and they're moving around, and you got to keep your eye on the prize basically.
And if somebody switches with you, you can't look at your card. If you do, that costs you a turn.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, somebody switched with me, what am I now? No, you have to remember who switched with who and what they switched with, because you really don't want to waste a turn to look at your character.
Right. So the three actions you can take in the game are to switch, which is where you take your card and another player's card and you put them under the table, and you can switch it or not, so people don't actually know whether you switched or not, but you have the information of whether or not that happened. Or you can just be like people who mess up all the time and just shuffle it, and then neither of you know, and you've gained nothing. Or you can look at your card, which is the cheap way out. Like, if you look at your card, you're obviously not remembering enough stuff. But that takes up your whole turn. You just now know who you are, and you're probably going to get switched with again before your turn comes back around anyway.
Or, and most of the time that happened.
Or you can call out the role that you think you are. and then everybody else has a chance to challenge you. If no one challenges you, you get to take the action of that roll without anybody even looking at it. So
without revealing whether you are
not be that thing and still get to do its power if no one challenges you. Which, if you played it off good enough, you might be able to bluff into that. But probably not. Somebody is probably going to take the risk. If you challenge someone and you're wrong, you have to pay money to the courthouse because you lied. And then there's a character, the judge, who actually takes all the money from the courthouse. So the more that people lie, the better that roll is. But it's a very interesting game. So
I got very lucky playing this game because there were 3 different circumstances where somebody announced that they're so-and-so, and I challenged them, not having any idea if I was really that person, and I won all 3 challenges.
That's awesome.
That's what helped me win the game. A lot of fun. Man, a lot of fun. I want to pick it up.
I like it a lot, and the thing is, like, you saw like less than half of the rolls that there are. So like you normally play with like the queen and the king and stuff like that because those bring money into the game. But there's all these different rolls that do all sorts of different crazy stuff. There is an actual thief character that his role is he takes $1 from each person on each side of him. There is a like a troublemaker type person, but he just gets 1 coin. Or the fool, he gets 1 coin and then he switches 2 other people's cards. So he just throws confusion into the mix. There's a guy that gets to like look at other people's cards. So
how many people can play this game?
Oh my goodness. With the base set, it says from 2 to 13. I probably wouldn't play it with low numbers, like because then you have like a pool in the middle, sort of like you do with One-Eyed Ultimate Werewolf. So then there's people that can switch with like the pool in the middle. But I think it's better with more players. But it goes all the way up to 13 with just the base thing. I think it goes up to more if you get the first expansion, which adds like.
Which company made that game?
Repos. So.
You think that'll be at Gen Con?
I'm sure it's a couple years old at this point. It's from 2013, so I'm sure they'll have it somewhere. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a Bruno Faduti game. It's a pretty fun.
Bruno Faduti.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, Bruno.
But yeah, I like
we
it.
Go way back.
I've had some people that are not super keen on the game just because like it's too much thinking. They don't want to think about where all these things are because it's very much memory and deduction and probability and trying to play the other players and stuff like that. Some people don't like that much of memory in the game because they think, oh man, this hurts my head. I can't pay attention to anything. It's too random. But it's not too random. Like you can see everything that happens if you pay attention. So it's pretty fun.
I think that's the key if you pay attention. I think it's your party game for smart people or people that don't have ADD. How about that?
Exactly, because honestly, if you step away and go get chips and then come back, there's going to be like 4 rolls that switched and stuff like that, and you're just going to not know what's going on. You have to see where all the moves were so you know where the king is or where the cheat is. Does he actually have the cheat? Oh man, we got to steal that away from him because he has 10. And yeah, there's all sorts of different things that play into that game.
Yep.
But yeah, I like it a lot. Awesome. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get into our topic, which is gaming groups.
Were you just powering up? Was that like the power up, like the topic power up?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So, so what are some of the gaming groups that you've been in?
Well, Roy, I've been in gaming groups with just me and some personal friends. I've been in very public gaming groups where I knew absolutely nobody. I've been in gaming groups where I was invited in. I mean, you invited me into your gaming group. I've been in small ones. I've been in big ones. I've been in game groups with just fat people. I've been in gaming groups where I was the only fat guy.
Is there like a thing like if you're
like a weight limit?
You're not allowed in?
I don't know. And
but
if there was, I probably wouldn't know. Yeah, there's a couple times where it was like, oh, like all of you people sit in really small wicker chairs. I probably won't be back. Yeah. Nice. So I've been in a bunch of different types. But I'm different than a lot of people. Strangers don't bother me at all.
Yeah.
And so going to game nights where I don't know a single soul, like I'll have friends or I'll have associates by the end of the night.
Nice.
So if you name the type of group, I've been in it, except for D&D. I've never done a campaign or anything like that. That's the only type of gaming group I've not been in.
Nice. Yeah, pretty much for me, when I first like the first gaming group we had was like my dad's like we had like some church friends or like from our homeschool group that we played like Game World a lot together, and we'd
Yeah.
get together and my dad would have us over, but we didn't like meet like weekly or super regular. I think we did like a little bit for a while, but then we also had like redemption play group where we'd get together and just play redemption like every week.
Yeah.
Practicing for like tournaments and like hosting tournaments and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But that pretty much as some people got like a little bit out of that, it just pretty much turned into is just straight up board game night. So it was just a bunch of people from my church and my homeschool group, just a bunch of guys getting together and playing games. Anybody who want to come by, and it was like a lot of our parents too. So it was like our parents and us. Like we just play whatever games. We played a lot of like Bang and Killer Bunnies and whatever stuff, and that was pretty fun. And I've run a game group for D&D at like an encounters group at a game store. So I met a bunch of my current gaming friends, not a bunch, but a few of my current gaming friends from that, which is pretty awesome. And I went to a meetup in Winston for a while, like a public thing. So sort of like you've done before, and there's a bunch of people that I've met from that. But currently, mostly what I do is my Friday nights that I stream here. And the way that I've done that is basically I've met people at other game days or at other game groups and like handpicked the people I want to play with. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So you should feel
Or
honored,
people from
Rob.
your work.
Yeah.
I am very honored. Thank you very much. And that has led to this. So now we're going to be famous. But no, I think it's great.
So what are the perks of going to a weekly gaming group?
For me, one is definitely the relationships. Like I would have never have gotten to know you or Matt. Not to say that we're like super close or whatever, but we are becoming good friends and things like that. And so building relationships with people. And what I also like about your gaming group is you have plenty of games. So we're always playing new games.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely a benefit of going to a weekly game group is I know I'm going to be able to try out something new pretty much every week. Like, I don't think for a big game we've ever repeated a game. Small games like One Night Ultimate Werewolf and stuff, we've played multiple times. But usually the core game is usually different every week. And so I like that. I like the relationships and just the excuse to get out of the house. That's always nice. Like my schedule is very chaotic and very impromptu. I could have a client call me and I got to go right now. But I know if I don't already have something scheduled for Friday night, like don't put anything on the books. This is my Friday night. I'm going to Roy's house. And so I do like that consistency.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things that I like about hosting a weekly game group is that's like it's every week. So like people will like text me and be like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry I can't come this week." And I'm like, "It's cool, man. We do it every week. Like you don't have to be here every single week. Like I'm not holding you to that. Like just that it's here. Like if you want to come play games, like we can do it." And I think it's been pretty cool. And like you said, like building the relationships and the friendships and like sort of like almost the meta game that you like get playing these same guys over and over again. It's like, oh man, we got to watch out for so-and-so because they're a shark in this sort of game or whatever we're playing at the time. We're like, man, I remember that time when I helped you out in that other game. You can help me out in this game or whatever, man. Don't mess me up. So it's kind of cool. And just teaching the same people games over and over again, you get to learn like their different quirks and things like that. It's like, oh, I know that Hector and Ryan are going to be messing with memes the entire time that I'm trying to teach the game, and then
they're not going to be paying attention.
they're not going to be paying attention at all. And it's just funny. Like it doesn't bother me. I just think it's hilarious. So it's like, oh man, these guys are awesome. So
when they don't know what they're doing, it's like, well, I already went over the rules. I'm sorry.
Or playing Cash and Guns with AJ, I know his gun is always loaded. It doesn't matter if he's already shot all 3 of his bangs. I just know his gun is loaded still. He's still going to shoot me. And I just if he points the gun at me, I just need to back out.
Yeah.
It's always loaded.
I learned that the hard way. Between AJ and your dad.
I think I learned it the hard way the first time too, and that's why I'm like, if AJ's pointing at me, I'm going down. I'm not going to take the hits.
Yeah.
Good times. Yeah. So the next one is, what are some must-haves in a game group?
Ooh. Okay. You definitely need food and drink. You have to be picky on your food, though. You can't just have like a lot of greasy stuff and things like that. But you also need different personalities. If everybody was like Roy, it would get old quick. If everybody was like Phil, it would get old quick. Like, you definitely need a variety of different people in your gaming group. It can't be, I don't know, it can't just all be the same person or same personality type. And you also have to have a good sense of humor. I think, at least for my gaming group, like, you have to be okay with people giving you a hard time, being able to jab at each other a little bit. You have to have a good sense of humor. We're just having fun. It's just a game. But I love in our group how Phil's our quiet guy. You're our rule talker guy. Matt's also quiet, but he's not quiet. Hector comes out of nowhere.
Every time.
He's like my wild card.
Yeah, every time.
Ryan is the guy that has no idea what he's doing. Yeah.
Ryan Ortiz is so awesome when he plays, because it's just like, oh my gosh, are you seriously going to do that? Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, why? I don't know. It looks really cool. Yeah.
Gotta try it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, we were playing Mansions of Madness, and he literally runs into a room full of guys because he wanted to be able to open up this one thing to get like a knife. It didn't make any sense. I think he almost died from it. He ended up losing all the stuff he went in there to get. But he was just like, well, I know they're in that room, so I'm going to go get it. Bye. And we're like, don't go, Ryan. Nope, bye. He just ran off. So I love that about our group. And I think that's a must-have, is different people. Nice. How about you?
I think, like, from the hosting side, you have to have someone that can... you have to have someone that can teach the games. Like, you want to make sure that there's someone who knows the games before you get to the table, because you really don't want to be, like, learning them, like, on the fly. You don't want to set down a brand new game and be like, I don't have any clue how to play this. Let's read the rule book for, like, an hour and a half. Like, we've done that a teeny bit for, like, brand new games, but most of the time I have a pretty good grasp on what the game is before we jump into it. So that way it goes super smooth for everybody. So you need someone who, like, knows the games and knows the rules. You have to have games, so hopefully there's some games to play for your game group.
Does help.
So having a decent variety is always good. I mean, some game groups, like, everybody has, like, different games that they bring, or you could just, like, some game groups, they just really like the one game and they could just play that over and over again and, like, be the masters of that game. Or, like, with things like Risk Legacy, make sure to play through over and over again. Those games are really good. That's another good reason to have, like, a weekly game group, because you can play, like, your Descents and your Risk Legacies and actually get further in those continuation, like, games that have, like, a scenario. But yeah, and I just think people being cordial to each other and, like, nice and stuff like that is really important. So it's just a game, guys. We don't have to take it that seriously. Win or lose, have a good time. Good winners, good losers. Don't be, like, rubbing it in everybody's face if you beat them. Like, haha, you guys are all terrible. Like, it's just a game. So awesome. So the next one is, what are some good ways to find a game group if you're looking for a game group? Like, say you
Um,
moved to a new area and you've left all your gamer friends behind. How do you find new people to game with?
well, this happened to me last year because I moved to North Carolina from Arkansas, and I Googled actually. Um, I got online and I just Googled local board gamers, and some stores came up, but then also Meetup came up, and I've never heard of the app Meetup before. And then when I typed in board gamings, there was like 10 different groups, and I found out like two of them were local, within like 5 miles of where I lived, and they were pretty large groups actually. And so I Googled and I did that, and Meetup was also a good app. But also another good way that you could find a good game group is if you have a store or you know of a hobby store or a game store that's nearby. A lot of those people are going to know, hey, so and so comes in on this day and they play these games, or we do Friday Night Magic, or we do this, or we do that. And so you do have to do a little bit of work. But I really don't think it's hard now because the internet has made everything so easy. I mean, you can type in anything now and you're going to find anything. So, yeah, Google. If you're brand new to an area, Google or Meetup, I think, are probably some of the best.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can find like some board game groups for like specific areas on like Facebook too. Sometimes people will have groups
Yeah, I didn't
set
even
up.
think of that. Yes, social
So,
media. Yeah.
so yeah, definitely like Meetup and Facebook, and then just like Googling and finding game stores and stuff like that. I think there's also like different forums on Board Game Geek for like specific areas. You could do that. A weird thing is you can actually search on Board Game Geek for people that have registered accounts like in a specific area. So you can like find all the Board Game Geek accounts like in your town. So you could literally just message people, be like, "Hey, games, you like games?" So that might be a little bit weird, but I mean, if they're cool people.
Yeah, I mean that you could have a citation written against you for stalking or something like that. I mean, I would be a little weirded out if somebody found me via my Board Game Geek profile.
And said, "Hey, what games?"
Maybe not so much now. Maybe not so much now because like we're doing the podcast and we are putting ourselves out there. But like if somebody, let's just say 6 months ago, was like, "I see you on Board Game Geek and you like board games and I live 4 miles away from you," immediately I'm going and buying a gun and knocking the doors.
That's
just weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would be scared.
I don't care what people think about me. But yeah, it's
Well,
cool.
it's not what they think about me. It's just like, because I don't care what you think about me. I'm gonna have a good time. But the fact that somebody's like stalking me and where I'm living and like my wife and my daughter, it's just like, bro,
I don't think they're going that far. They're looking to see like, does he just have Munchkin on his list, or does he have awesome thematic games?
If you're gonna do this fantasy, you have to go all the way with this fantasy. They're finding out what type of food you eat, what political side you part with, where do you work at, what are your favorite things to do? Do you have any weird hobbies? Do you dress up as a woman?
You come out of work and they're just standing there at the door with like a board game, like, "Hey man,
You did so good today." Like, whoa, what are you talking about? You deserve
want to play Dead of Winter?
I just start crying. If that ever happened, like somebody I never knew just came up to me, I'd probably start shaking and then I'd cry a little bit. Like, please just don't wear my skin. Like, you can eat me or whatever. Just don't wear my skin. That'd be weird.
But yeah,
Wouldn't that freak you out if somebody showed up one day?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
Hey man, those pictures of your kids, they're really cute. Whoa. That's just like, no.
Yeah, I think Meetup is probably the best way to find people because a lot.
Back on topic. Yeah. Meetup.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who like use for like public game groups. They use Meetup to like have it so people can find them. So that's a really good way to find different.
Yeah. Now that I know
groups.
about it, it is huge. And there were Meetup groups in Arkansas where we lived. I just never knew it. I never got real big into social media and stuff like that. And so, but now that I see it, it's everywhere. Meetup is a great tool.
I mean, you definitely have to like step out on a limb. Like if you're one of those people that are a little bit wary of like meeting new people and you're a little bit shy and a little bit standoffish, then it might be a little bit hard to go and meet new people. But if you want to make friends, you have to like put yourself out there a little bit. So try to get up the courage. Normally, like these people at these meetups are like super welcoming and like they have like a host that's there. Like their job is specifically to find a game to put you in. So like they try to hook you up with people to play games with once you go to their meetups. And normally the meetup groups are like big, so they have like 3 or 4 tables like playing. It just depends on the area, I'm sure. Like there might be smaller meetups playing board games.
Yeah. I would recommend for the people that are a little scared or nervous to actually go to a large meetup group. For what you were just saying, the more tables, the more different games. You don't want to show up at a place and everyone's already playing a game and then you're just sitting there watching everybody. And so you have a better chance of playing games and not being so awkwardly left out in a large play group. And usually the host does really does do a good job in introducing themselves. So if you're scared or you're nervous, try a big one. I know it sounds a little contradicting, but there'll be more people to welcome you, and you'll also find out there's going to be more people that were just like you before they started Meetup.
Mm-hmm. Kid Chaos in chat said that there was recently a Kickstarter for an iPhone and Android app called Game Finder, for you to be able to like find other people. I haven't tried it out, but I remember hearing about it. So someone tried to design an app that was specifically like a meetup sort of thing, but it was specifically for like games. Which is kind of funny.
What was it called again?
Game Finder, but it's like FINDR. So, but I remember seeing a Penny Arcade comic strip where it was about Game Finder, and it was like for their D&D group, and the guy's like, "Hey man, we're canceling D&D this week, so we'll try to get it like going like next week or something like that." And so the guy's like, "Oh, that's fine." And he's like, "Let me try out this new app, Game Finder, so I can like find a game group." And he's like, "Oh, look, there's a game group that meets at the exact same place that we normally meet up for, and it's like on the same night and everything." And like he's like, "Oh, they need a paladin. That's the kind of character I was before." And he looks it up and he walks in and it's his gaming group sitting there, and they had basically kicked him out. He's like, "This is awesome, guys."
Yeah.
So they were using Game Finder to recruit someone since they just kicked him out.
Well, I see Game Finder right here, and it is a real thing. I'm actually downloading it, and I may play with it just to see what comes up.
Nice. So check that out and see if there's enough people using that to make it actually.
Thank you very much for the tip.
Nice. So next is how do you start your own game group? So like if you wanted to have one with your friends or just invite coworkers over or just have like family things, what do you think would be a good way?
Not to be sarcastic, but I would ask people to come play games. Most of the groups that I ran in the past or big gaming events just started off with a little, "Hey, we're going to be doing this on such and such date. It would be a lot of fun if you guys could show up." And usually have a lot of success with that. Just ask people. You would be surprised how many people really do actually want to play a game, or even if they're not crazy about playing a game, they love the idea of hanging out, and they want to hang out with their friends, and so everyone will get together. And I would just say go around asking people, or if you want to be even so bold, put it on your Facebook or Instagram page and stuff like that, just inviting people to wherever you're going to have it. Just ask. Don't worry about rejection, because, this is a sales technique, but it's already no anyway. Like, they're already not coming over to your house to play games. So if you ask them and they say no, what has changed, right? So just ask them. If they say yes, great. And if they say no, well, before you ask them, they weren't going to come anyway because you didn't ask them. So it's already a no. So just kind of get over that fear of rejection. And if it works out, it works out.
Yeah. there's like several different ways you can do it. You can host it at different places. Like if you want to go crazy, you could have a public one at like like a different like public area. You could have it like a game store, different things like that.
But would you start one that way though?
People can do that, and like if you wanted to actually have a public one, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have to be a pretty outgoing like host personality.
You have to, you have to have like a big. You have to have a lot of friends.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could just start a meetup, and you and your friends could start playing there, and then like more people could join. Probably what would be more comfortable for people is actually host it in your house with people that you actually know or people that you're interested in getting to start gaming. Like in my case, I think at first I polled some of my gaming friends. I was like, hey, what night would work good for you guys to play games? And I'm like, if we're going to be doing it late at all, it would have to be like a Friday or Saturday. So we just like decided to do Friday, and then I just invited people. A lot of my group has now turned into like coworkers, which is pretty cool because like a lot of them didn't play board games before they met me. So I mean they have like video game backgrounds and maybe a little bit of role playing background, and everybody has like a CCG background. But it's just like, hey, we're playing these games on a Friday night. It's really cool. And then I just invite them. And like a lot of people are kind of like scared to like, oh, it's at someone's house. It's going to be a little bit awkward and stuff like that. But just continue to talk to them about games and how awesome they are. And if someone doesn't want to do it, like I have certain friends that do not play games. I invite them to game things. They're like, oh, are you playing games there? Meh, I don't really play games, so I'm not going to come. But I still like say, oh yeah, we played this awesome game and it was like this. And if they actually like seem interested, be like, man, you should come on by, because and if they're like talking about games that they're playing, or like, oh, I saw that on Tabletop that looked really cool. Like, yeah, man, I have that game. You can actually play it on a table if you want to come over on Friday. So that's like one of the ways that I lured Matt in, was like I was talking to him about board games for like a few weeks, and I was like inviting him in, like, hey man, if you want to actually like do it, I'll give you the address, whatever, you can come over, it'll be fun. And he's like, we actually played Betrayal at House on the Hill, and I was telling him about it, and he's like, oh man, I saw that on Tabletop. And I'm like, I own that game. Like, you don't even have to put any money down. You don't have
just show up.
Yeah, I don't, like, we have snacks and stuff here, but like I don't have a requirement for anybody to bring anything. So it's like 100% free. Just come over and play games, just hang out.
Yeah.
My group's kind of interesting though, because it's like not public. It's invite only, and it's mostly like the people that I think would be fun to play games with. I try to have a good mix of personalities and people that I'm friends with, so it works out really good. Also, at first, I did this thing where you'd get like different points for doing different things. I thought it was really cool, and it worked really good because I had like a little mini like game weekend, which was like a mini con where I did sort of like the same thing with like different points. But with like people dropping in and dropping out, like people sort of lost interest in it because it wasn't competitive enough, I guess. The people that were doing it weren't competitive enough to like actually like write down on the thing. But it was cool because I made this list of like all these things you could do to get points, where you could get points for playing a war game, and getting points for winning, and getting points for like doing something epic. And then I had one.
I think it was a great idea, but I think it's a good idea for like a weekend, or if it was like your job. Like, if you were going to be a competitive board game, I think your point system was fantastic. Or if you were doing like a Roy-Con again, I think that's great, because everyone's already there, they're all committed to it. But I think the issue is like you don't have the same group of people every Friday, and so for something like that, unless everyone's like in it and they're dedicated to it as well, it'll lose interest. But I liked it. I wrote my name on the board. I won a couple things.
Yeah, we did it for my Roy-Con thing, and I had like trophies and all that stuff, just like I had for this. And I think like there were certain people that had done the math of how many hours they had played of games over the weekend, and they were like, I played 39 hours worth of games over the weekend. That is stupid. So, but
that's not stupid. That's amazing.
A quarter of that was Twilight Imperium for that person, but
it's such a good game. Such a good game.
Nice. So for the next one is what location should you choose? We already talked about this a little bit, but you can choose.
Yeah.
You can have there's like
Um,
if you're trying to do something public, like towns have like rec centers and stuff like that.
yeah.
I know Chaz Mahler from the Dice Tower has a like meetup group where he actually gets a rec center and they have their meetup there. And then people like have plenty of board game nights at game stores if you want to try to start one at a game store because you don't have room in your house or you don't necessarily want to invite people over. A lot of game stores are opening, especially if they don't have something already. They might already have something going, which is awesome. You could just join in. If they don't have a board game thing going, just pick a night that's not Friday night when they're doing Magic or other nights. Normally like Wednesday night is D&D night, so just pick a night that works for the game store and talk with the owner, and normally they'll be down for like making a game night happen. Anything to help promote sales in their store, I'm sure they're all about.
Absolutely. Oh, you want to bring people into my store? Sure. Yeah. I also think it depends on your group and what people are comfortable with. I think you and your wife, you guys do a very good job being very comfortable hosts. Like every time I go to your house, I feel very comfortable and I always have a good time. And so not a lot of people can pull that off, being a good host, and you and your wife, you guys do a good job. I've done a couple at my church where I just I talked to a couple guys about games, and I was like, hey man, we should just do one at the fellowship hall.
That's awesome.
And I asked my pastor and stuff like, hey, do you mind if we play games there? And they didn't mind at all. And so again, that gets people there and people fellowshipping and talking together. Or like you said, at different restaurants or public events. Mm-hmm. It all just depends on your group and what everybody's comfortable with, because not everybody has a nice home or a home with space that they can have a game night. But one idea that's not horrible, depending on when you want to play, is like maybe like a Starbucks or like a Panera Bread or something where you can move tables together and they're not going to get mad at you because there's nobody waiting on you. There's not like a wait staff. So if you want a drink, you can go get up a drink. But it all just varies on who you're playing with and what's available to you. And if you don't have anybody's spot, then go out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think another thing that we hadn't talked about is like, even if you're just like a family, say you're a mom and dad with 2 kids that are of appropriate age. I mean, you can have a weekly family game night, which would be awesome.
Oh, you should do that. I think that is so important, but that's a totally different subject and topic. But I think families nowadays are getting so digital. I think it's very important to have that face-to-face interaction, and especially if you have kids that are of age, have a board game night where the cell phones are put away, the electronics are put away, and you're talking. It's like we as Americans, we've really gone away from that family dinner setting, where everyone sat around the table and had dinner. I think board games, in fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to board games, is because I want that face-to-face interaction.
Right.
I think that's very important. I think that's a great idea. Fantastic idea for a family.
Yeah, I can't wait until my kids get old enough to where we can actually just sit down as a family, like play with the little babies, and they won't be babies at the time. But it's even better now because like back in the day, it's like, oh, we sat Monopoly down on the table and we all ended up mad at each other when we left. Well, now there's like tons of like cooperative games where you can actually sit down as a family and like work together against a common enemy, which is the board game itself. You could be curing diseases or fighting off roaches and rats and mice and mystics or doing some crazy dungeon crawls or anything. Like there's all sorts of crazy stuff out there. Being
now,
superheroes.
I've started to buy games now. So when my children, I'm not going to say what I have since you can find that out on my Board Game Geek profile, but I started to buy games so when my children get older, I'll have that game now invested in that family fun time. Have you done that? Have you bought a game?
I keep buying like Haba games, like they make specific like games for like little kids, and I keep like buying them, but like they're all like, oh, this is like 5 and up and this is 3 and up, and I bring them out like I probably bring out like a game like once a week and try to play it with Scotty, and it never is a game. It's always just like playing with the pieces, but it's just fun to like be like, okay, well, we're not there yet, but like there's this one game called it's a German game, but it's like this game where you're putting baby spiders on the mama spider's back and trying to not have like the mama spider. It's really like unique, like fall down. It's like a dexterity game. But yeah, I've been slowly teaching him like how to actually play the game without smashing everything. So you're supposed to put the little baby spiders on the mama's back very gently, and if it falls, you lose, and that's bad. So he'll put like one on there, and I'll put one on there, and he'll put one on there, and then he'll just like smash it on purpose. I'm like, I'm like, you're not ready. I'm like, you lose. You lost the game. But it's a ton of fun. And we play like Click Clack Lumberjack. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like the giant like wooden tree where you're trying to knock the bark off. Like he's like, I want to play game. And I'm like, okay, well here's the action. You got to hit it really gently. He's just like, whack! The whole thing falls over. It's fun and it's learning experience, but I'm really excited in the future to have a family game night.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you guys are definitely gonna do like that Mice and Mystics campaign.
Definitely. I'm sure that'll be a ways down the road, but it's sitting on the shelf waiting.
Yeah.
So what are some things you should not do in a game group?
I don't think you should ever ostracize somebody. Like give each other a hard time. But if somebody makes a dumb mistake in a game, or if somebody, they have a really bad game, don't beat them down. And if you're a sensible or social person, you can definitely tell when somebody's like irritated with all of the nagging and things like that. And so don't exclude people. If somebody makes a bad mistake, don't just rip them for it, because they probably won't come back. Why would they come back to play with a group of people that are acting like jerks? There's that fine line between giving somebody a hard time and being goofy and silly jerk. And so, it's never fun, and it's never good for you as the host to allow people like that in your home, because then, what kind of vibes, what kind of energy is that putting out there? And then two, you're not doing a good job as a host when you're allowing people to beat up on each other and things like that. So that's one of the top things I would say you should not do in a group. I
think one of the main things is just to realize that these are just games. Like, you need to not take it ridiculously seriously. I don't think we ever have any big issues with that, because we play so many like silly thematic games that are so like determined on luck that it just doesn't really matter. But sometimes with these like deeper strategy games, when you're playing like the heavy Euros and it's all about victory points and who won and lost, and he played that thing that screwed me over when he king make that other guy, and he shouldn't have let him win, and he stabbed me in the back in this game, and it wasn't like a thematic style game. It was a game just about victory points and cutthroat. You just have to remember that it's just a game, and the point of games should be to have fun. It shouldn't be about decimating the opponents, which I know different groups have different viewpoints on how games should be played. Like, we're not competitive really at all. Like, that's one of the main reasons like I like the board games that we play, because they're not serious. So
but even when they are serious, though, because like when we played Twilight Imperium, that is a pretty serious game. But like, people were helping out each other. Everyone was still having a good time. Like, we gave each other a really hard time about some like really dumb moves that maybe I had made or somebody else had made. But like, we there was a good attitude behind it.
No feelings were actually hurt by attacking each other. They're like, no. I understand why you're attacking and taking my victory points away from me. I really wish you wouldn't. But I understand that you have to take that from me. Because
you would get 3 more points if you attacked Roy over there and not me. So it's like, I see what you're doing, and it's a great strategy. But if you just went left, the next turn you could get 3 more points. And isn't that so much better? And they still attack you anyway.
Yeah, I've definitely had an experience where I went to a meetup group, and it was very much a like competitive thing. These guys did a lot of like Like they went to like board game tournaments.
Yeah.
And I played some games, and I actually did like pretty decent. Like I think I got like second. We played like a couple games. I got second in both of them.
Did they get mad at you though?
But
Did they get mad at you second?
There was a point in the game where the actual like I did a move in the game, and it was a move like it was a worker placement style like bidding game thing, and it was the spot that another person wanted, who was actually the host, and they got pretty upset that when we took all of our workers back, he just threw the worker at me like, get this out of here, you took my thing, you screwed me over, I was gonna get those points. And I'm like, I blocked you because you're like winning, like that's what I should be doing to like help me in the game. They shouldn't just let you run away with it. I did what's smart. I got second in the game, and they were all like, they're real competitive people, so they're like, oh my gosh, you're brand new and you got second in this game against these group of people that are like elite players, like how did you do it? But I never went back because I was like, they take it way too seriously.
Yeah.
And it was all like not thematic, not luck. Because I think I brought Cosmic Encounter with me, and I brought it in, and they made fun of me as I brought the game in. They're like, oh, Cosmic Encounter, that game is just, it's all luck. Like there's no like real strategy to that game. And I'm like, I love this game. So that's another thing not to do, is make fun of people if they bring a game. Like some people like to play Munchkin and Flux and different things like that, and maybe that's what they're used to. Like be
I'll play Munchkin. I'll play a game of Munchkin. It doesn't kill me or anything, but I think like I've had people like that in game groups that I've done. Like we were doing, I think I was on board 4 or board 5 of Risk Legacy, and we invited this one guy to play with us. Because we were telling him about it, and he was like, that sounds so amazing, I want to play. Next time you do a new board, let me know. And so we started a new board, and we let him know. And not even joking, before his first turn, on the very first game, he was already yelling at somebody for doing something dumb. And we were like, this is going to be a very long 15 games. And it was not fun. And that was actually one of the longest boards ever, because people didn't want to get together to play with this one guy who had this bad attitude. And we ended up finishing it, and I never invited him back once we finished. And so, like, if you're losing, you're losing. It's a game. Like, calm down. Now,
and
if I beat you...
Especially a game like that, because, like, after you win the first time, it's harder to win again. So it's like the game makes it easier for people who continue to lose. So I mean, you're not going to be able to win every single game, because especially after you win multiple games, the rest of the people are supposed to stop you. They're supposed to.
Absolutely. Well, it puts the target on your back. But I will say this. If somebody is talking a lot of trash, like I do this, I talk a lot of trash. If I'm really comfortable with my board group, I'll talk a lot of trash. I like it when people beat me, because they get, and it's not that I like losing, but like some people really get a thrill out of like, you were talking so much smack and I just destroyed you. I have a good attitude about it. Like I kind of do it on purpose, and it also depends on my group. Like there's some people I won't talk trash to, and there's some people I will. Like I'll talk trash all day to Roy. Like it doesn't matter. And Roy usually wins, but I'll still talk smack, because like we have a type of personality where we know it's just a game. It's fine. I'm not going to take it home and get a bad attitude. But there's a difference between talking smack and talking trash and really getting an attitude, And so I think that's a big, big, big thing that you should not have, is no bad attitudes. Leave your bad day at the door.
Yep. And board games are supposed to be fun. So
They are supposed to be fun.
Let's have fun, guys.
Yeah. Nice.
So what are tips for planning a game day versus a game group? So I've done like several of these. Like I'll have like a game day like on a Saturday, and I'll just like make sure to plan it out a long ways ahead. And like this is really good. Like if you already have a game group, or you used to have a game group, like guys you used to play D&D with, or guys that are coming into town for some specific thing, like you can plan a game day and just have like at a certain set of time. Like I'll do like from 10 a.m. if we're gonna do lunch to like 9 p.m. or whatever and just play games all day long. I normally like to set up like a Facebook group and like have that going on. But yeah, if you can't regularly do a game week because your schedule doesn't allow that, try to make time to do like a game day and maybe have like a day off and get other people to jump in so that way you can still get some gaming in.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely do at least minimum like 2 weeks in advance notice for everybody. And another trick I would do is I would ask people to bring something because then they're more likely to come. Like, hey man, can you grab a bag of ice? Or hey man, can you get a 6-pack of Mountain Dew or something? Or can you bring a bag of pretzels or something? When people feel obligated, they tend to remember that date better. And so definitely the notice, like a 2 or 3 week notice. And
I always try to keep doing the hype train, be like, all right, we're 2 weeks away, man. We're going to do this 2 weeks away. 1 week away, man. Hey, man, this is going to be like this weekend. So it's like keep people excited and remembering about it.
You got to hype it up. You got to sell it.
And like certain games, you have to have a game day to play. Like we did Twilight Imperium, and we planned that like a month and a half or like 2 months ahead of time.
Yeah, that was actually over 2 months ahead of time.
Yeah, so it's like for bigger games, or like if you really want to get those huge games to the table, like make sure to like plan it out and like know your group. And the cool thing about things like that is you can be selective on who you invite. So like your game group might be huge and you can't play these specific games and include everybody. Well, on a game day you can be like, okay, well Tom's coming and Jerry's coming. Like these guys are gonna play specifically with me because I know they want to play. So.
And those are also fun times, too, if you want to do a small group where you can do that campaign, like a Star Wars Imperial Assault. You know, if you want to run through the campaign, because I think there's 10-plus missions in the campaign, or like a Level 7 Omega Protocol or a Descent or different things like that, where, you know, in a normal game setting, like if we were to play Roy's House on Friday night, you can't sit down and do the whole entire campaign. And if you don't want to dedicate every Friday night to just doing mission after mission, and so that's also good. Like if you have something specific in mind that you want to do to try to set it up. And that way you can also be picky on who you have do the missions with you. Because there are some people I would not ask to play certain games with me. Not that they're in your game group, but just people that I know here locally that, you know, I really want to enjoy myself, so I just wanted to ask them to come.
Yeah, certain people like are good at certain like types of games and they like certain types of games. That's another like tip for like having a game group, going to a game group, whatever, is making sure that you put a game on the table that everybody's going to be comfortable with. Like if you're playing with your friend's like girlfriend, you don't want to like, and she's not into heavy games, you don't want to like put something crazy out there on the table that's gonna just blow people away, or like you're gonna have to teach them the rules for like 2.5 hours. So just know your audience.
Yep.
Cool. So we're gonna go to the question of the week. You can email us questions at epicgamingnight@gmail.com or ask us questions on Instagram or Twitter or our Facebook page. We will answer those questions on the podcast. So the question this week is from Myra D. Witt from Facebook, and they ask, what are the favorite games in your gaming group to play and why? So for us, like, we like a lot of the games that we play, but like we always come back to like those
So, Myra, the games we play are the games we like. Thank
exactly. You. We always play all the games we like. We always go back to like the One Night Ultimate Werewolves and things like that, like the hidden role games that are real like quick and simple to play.
Anything that'll give us an excuse to yell at each other.
Yeah, like some like nice like short filler games, or like games that like work with a big group, because like sometimes I have more people that allow like a lot of the other games. So like we'll play One Night Ultimate Werewolf like a bunch of times. Yeah. So, which is kind of funny because I've actually gotten complaints like, I go over there, but all they play is One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And I'm like, but it's One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Right.
It's awesome.
Now, I would say, though, a lot of the favorite games we play are definitely co-op games. I would say there's some type of team aspect in a lot of the games that I played with you more than other games that I've played. I know you guys play a lot of games where it's one-on-one, but it seems like with our group, there's some type of alliance or team or something going on, where everyone gets involved, type of game. And I think the main reason why we do that, or why Roy does that, is because he was saying earlier, he also invites people from his work and maybe people that aren't, as experienced in the games as he is. And so when you're playing games like that, it's easier to get people involved and sucked into the hobby when they don't feel like they're an easy target where everyone's working together, so.
Yeah, I love cooperative games. I like to play games where we all win together or lose together, or even like the ones where it's like there's a team and you don't know whose team you're exactly on, or different things like that.
Or one versus everybody. That's my favorite.
It allows people a bunch of chances to beat me in a game if I'm doing too good, so they can gang up on me. I always hate like playing the games where we're like, I mean, not hate. I mean, I enjoy it still, but where it's like I feel bad, like consecutively like winning the game. It makes me feel like I know I just taught this game and then I won the game. I feel a little bad about that. But I gotta show them how it's done.
Right? Yeah. This is the game, and if you want to win, play like this.
But the games where like people can like team up and gang up and do different things like that, or like there's hidden roles and you don't know whose team you're exactly on, or games where you're working together, like there's a lot more chance to like work together and not feel bad about just picking on one specific person. Like, well, this is the team I'm on, I have to attack you because you're on the other team. So
yeah.
But yeah, we like to promote teamwork.
I would say though, for the majority of my gaming groups that I've been in, Mansions of Madness is probably one of the best gaming group night experiences I've had across the board. Everybody always loves it whenever they're introduced to it, and it does allow everyone to have an enemy, but people to still work together. And so for me, for some of my groups in the past, and some of the groups that I play with now, because I don't just play with Roy's group, Mansions of Madness. But that's also one of my favorite games ever of all time.
Yeah.
Too. So that kind of helps.
Yeah, I definitely need to get that back to the table again. I always make sure I have it like pre-set up and ready to go before people come over.
You need to for a gaming group because it's easy hours setup, if not longer.
And it's one of those games where if you mess up setup, you ruin the game.
You ruin the entire game. So you can't mess up setup, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really need to get it back out again. I'm just always like afraid, like it's like a 5-player game. So, and it's like balanced for like that max. So it's like if I have it set up and then the 6th player walks in, like I'm going to be like, well, I can't walk out of the game because I set everything up and I know where everything is and I have to be.
Yeah, you're the mansion keeper.
I have to be the keeper for the game. So I guess we'll figure out what's going on. So it's an interesting problem to have, having too many people a lot of times. Because some people don't have that problem. They're like, we can only play 2-player games because we only have one other person to play with. So it's kind of fun to have a group of people.
Speaking of 2-player games, if I come this Friday, which I can't guarantee, I am bringing my redemption deck.
Oh no!
And we're gonna throw down.
I will have to rebuild one because I think all of my cards like fell on the floor at some point. So they're all in a jumble.
Get to building because it's happening. I'm gonna save your soul.
How far did you get into like the tournament scene or anything like that? Did you ever like do any tournaments?
I know. Yes, I've done tournaments. I won the state multiplayer one year, and I got second place a couple years in state singles. And then at nationals, I know one year you were ranked like number 2 nationally. I think the highest I was ever ranked was in the teens nationally.
That's not too bad.
But that was, I didn't have the cards that I have now. That's when I was broke. Yeah, now I've got some good cards.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, multiplayer for that game is like a negotiation game so much. Like, dude, don't kill my guy. Kill his
Yeah.
guy. The game's
You know,
always
if you
been
kill my
negotiation.
guy, listen, if you kill my guy, then all of these lost souls, I'm going to have no one to defend, and everyone else is going to get them. So you're technically hurting yourself because everyone's just going to walk in and rescue these souls. So, yeah, that's why I always build a defense deck.
Good times. Okay,
Good grief.
well, that has been a podcast, guys. So make sure to check out our live streams on Twitch. We stream the podcast every Tuesday night at 9 Eastern Standard Time, and we stream our board game nights on Fridays, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is www.twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and like us on iTunes. Feel free to give us some
Write a
reviews
review.
there. And definitely
And check
thanks
out
for
our last
coming out.
podcast. We talked to Isaac Vega. That was absolutely amazing. And I kept my cool together.
Which is a feat for you, sir. You're trying to not squeal like a fangirl.
I was trying very hard, and I did not. I was actually pretty impressed with myself.
All right, thanks for coming out, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
We miss you, Matt.
Miss you, Matt.